Hello, this is Tom, aka Gedeon, here for Tabletop Tap Room. We're continuing the 1E, rediscovering 1E Advanced Dungeons and Dragons after realizing that we had started with BX, transitioned to 1E, and never really fully read the rule books. But we were kids and we were having fun, so it didn't really matter at the time. But now I'm exploring 1E just to see what was I really missing out on. So today we're looking at high-level followers. We're doing a section on hirelings, henchmen, and followers, and then by extension we'll be looking at retainers in BX. But to get started, let me just say I want to thank my subscribers. We're closing in on 500. You guys are great. I appreciate you. If you've not subscribed, please do hit the subscribe, like, and bell icon. Help me build the channel. And please do consider clicking on the link in the show notes for the Tabletop Taproom Cafe Press Store, possibly purchasing some merch that would help us with the channel and defraying some expenses. Now, this series of videos is all about the fact that I kind of discovered that we started out with BX and then transitioned, as the hardcover books became available, we transitioned to AD&D. But I felt like we had not really read the AD&D books so closely. We just kind of like, oh, this is cool. Ooh, more magic items, and all excited. Ooh, more monsters. And we were all excited, and we just kind of fudged it without really processing the rules in AD&D. So here we have the charisma table, and you have adjustment to reactions based off your charisma, maximum number of retainers based on charisma, and the morale of your retainers is also based on. So high charisma pays dividends. They're less likely to fail morale checks. You can see here that the maximum number of retainers for a player character is 7. So it goes from 1 to 7. Now, comparing that to Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. All right, so here we are on page 16 of the DMG. And you've got character class followers for upper level player characters. You can essentially ignore this. A lot of games peter out before 10th level. Around 10th level is where you start getting into the named level classes, where you've reached the pinnacle of your profession, essentially, and then everything else is just gravy. But so these followers are for upper level characters. Now, what's really interesting is that you have followers for a cleric. They'll just show up. Now, these are all soldiers, so presumably these will be like temple guards if the cleric has established a temple or, maybe a monastery or something along those lines. Fighters and the followers, they're all 0 level men-at-arms for the cleric. Fighters, they bring in 0 level men-at-arms, but there's a chance for leaders who are going to be higher level. Rangers are really interesting. You've got a whole series of tables because you're going to get everything from demi-humans, your dwarves, elves, gnomes, halflings, to black bear, blink dog, brown bear, lynx, giant owl. Could be a mount. Could be in my game world, I just feel like centaurs don't like to be mounted. They're a little bit more prideful, and they don't let you ride them. But I do like this table where like 1 to 3 centaur might show up. A hippogriff or a pegasus. Something weird like a pseudo dragon, pixie, sprite, or something special like a copper dragon, storm giant, Trent, werebear, or were-tiger for the ranger. So it's much more interesting for the ranger. And then thief, it's just about you're attracting thieves. These are, I believe, they're all first level thieves when you establish a guild. And oh, there's a possibility for higher level thieves. But and then if they're a demi-human, you can have the multi-class thief follower. And same with the assassin. And then we go into this weird, Paladin's Warhorse. So who's left out of this for high-level followers just showing up is the Paladin gets the Warhorse, but that's like a special ability that kind of kicks in around 6th level. And so it's just limited to that. And I kind of feel like, a Paladin should attract some followers. Hello, kitty. Oh, yes. Yes. She hates being picked up. All right. That's Lovey. Yeah, no. Not on the table. She's annoyed because the teenager is house sitting in a way, so she doesn't know what to do with herself. So Lovey comes around and bothers me. Now, so the Paladin, I really feel like the Paladin is short-shifted here, and if anybody should attract some followers, it would be the Paladin. He should attract some soldiers. However, they don't get them for free. They're not in the rules, so I would just leave it off, and he's just got to rely on expert hirelings and henchmen that he can attract. And now also not in here is the monk followers. Now, the monk can attract some followers, but they're under special rules, and they're in the player's handbook description of the monk. And there are situations where he would get them, and then they might bail on him. And that's all about around 8th level, where there's only 3 8th level monks in the whole world, and you got to go duel one. And when if you duel one and you win, that guy gets bumped down to 7th level. You become an 8th level monk, and then you attract a group of 1st level monks who are coming to your dojo to follow you, type of thing. And then same process happens at 9th and 10th and so on. So you can attract, more and more monks as you progress. But should one of these monks show up and challenge you to a duel, you've got to fight them. And if they beat you, you get bumped down a level because they're now taking your place. And there's this very tiered system. So it's a little different, and it's all described there in the monk's entry to the player's handbook. So these are for high-level followers, and I do not believe that you have to pay them, but you do have to equip, feed, house. So there are expenses with them. These things come right along because, I don't know what you pay a brown bear or a black bear as a ranger. You have an obligation to feed them, but, or the Trent, what do you pay a Trent that's decided to come and be your follower as a high-level ranger? I don't know. I could see that you'd want to be, if you attracted a copper dragon, well, you probably want to, keep the dragon happy by giving it some gold to sit on, right? So these are for the high-level followers. But this is not what you're going to start out with. What we want to look at now, before we move off of high-level followers, I actually want to address this whole chapter on spying. And this is about hiring a spy to go on a spy mission. Now, why did they put that in these rules? This is like the weirdest thing, but it's like most likely it's going to be an assassin that's doing the spy mission. In fact, I would allow for lawful or good aligned assassins in my game, but they would just call themselves a spy. But they have the assassin skills, and maybe they are licensed to kill like James Bond. They are 007 rating. So they do assassinate, even though they're good, but they're doing it under the provisions of, we need this terrorist assassinated type of thing. So under the provisions of a higher authority, quite possibly, they could be employed in assassination. They don't do it often, but they are skilled in it. And so I would allow for a more liberal leaning, because I would play an assassin, but I'd want to play it as a spy. He is a spy in the fantasy setting, very much like the Master of Whispers in Game of Thrones had little birds and spies out there. I would like to play that type of character. So that was a little bit of an allowance I would make on the AD&D assassin, because I do believe there are alignment restrictions. But there's this whole thing about spy missions, and why would the player characters want to hire a spy and send them off? And I think it's the type of game that AD&D came out of, this whole Bronstein, Blackmore, that you would be setting up yourself as a lord with a castle or a wizard with a tower, that you would control geography in the game. And so you might be sending out a spy, hired assassin as a spy for a spy mission. And so that's why these rules are here. And so it's the flavor of the game. This is really moving away from the Hickman revolution, where you had very much story games and much more sandbox, because AD&D really came out of a tradition of sandbox type games, less story filled, very much mega dungeons. You go in, penetrate the dungeon so far, pull back to rest, recuperate, and rearm, re-equip, and take as much gold as you can, and get as much as experience points as you can, and then go back in. And so I feel like this, it's a little odd. It's not something you're going to get into right away. Obviously, player characters need to progress to that point where they begin to build a stronghold, and you really didn't have that in BX, and not until BX was completely overhauled as a basic expert, BECME, companion, master, and immortal. And I think it was in the companion level or master level, you had rules for building a castle. A 30-foot tower costs this much gold, and then this this much wall, castle wall, would cost this much, and a keep, central keep, will cost this much, and stables will cost this much, and so on and so forth. And so you really didn't have that in the BX until BX went through its third evolution into BECME, the BX Master Companion Immortal, or Companion Master Immortal. And so you don't see that as much. So this is Tom for Tabletop Tap Room. That was our little module on high-level followers. We'll also be doing Hirelings and Henchmen as separate videos, just to keep things in bite-sized portions. Thanks for watching. Thanks to my subscribers. You guys are great. And keep on gaming.